Yes, my apologies. Had some technical difficulties for the first 3 minutes. Now we are back on stream and we're back here with my second episode of Miami Dolphins football, and we'll be talking about Jazz Chisholm and other sports that's of concern here, not only in the Bahamas but also in the United States of America, especially in Florida. Florida sports. I'll be covering Florida sports. I'm asking all of you fans out there to subscribe and let's enjoy the show. We have about an hour to go, and we will get in as much as possible as we sit down and talk sports and other relevant issues here on the show this evening. So let's get started. And like I love my Miami Dolphins team song. The greatest football team from Portugal like no one's ever seen. We're on the ground, we're always in control. We're talking Super Bowl because we're the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins number one. Yes, Miami Dolphins number one. Miami Dolphins number one. This is Big Earl. Fins up. Talking about the Miami Dolphins. We'll be talking about the Miami Marlins. We'll be talking about Bahamians in general who are doing very well in professional sports out there in the professional environment. With that said, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and let's go. Let's have some fun as we talk here tonight. We're talking about quite a few things. And the greatest thing that is still on my agenda, the greatest topic that is not only on my agenda, but has quite a few fans concerned about what is going on, what the hell is going on there in Miami. And we need to get this situation sorted out in Miami, because if we don't get it sorted out, then we will be left behind compared to all the other teams. We have teams out there who have already signed their quarterbacks because they know exactly what they want. The Miami Dolphins, they are given the impression that they do not know what they want, and they need to be more focused when it comes to our star quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. And yes, it feels like I'm beating a dead horse because this is the second night in a row that I will be talking about Tua. Not only Tua, but some other things too as relates to sports. But Tua is a burning issue in Miami, and an issue that needs to be resolved and needs to be resolved rather quickly. Because if it isn't done, then we are still without a top of the league or one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. As we all know, Tua is the quarterback who is ranked number 7 in the NFL, and for some reason it appears to be a big joke because of the ranking system. And if you would look at the other quarterbacks they have ahead of Tua, they didn't even have the same statistics as Tua last season. So why is Tua ranked 7 when you have Josh Allen who didn't have the same number of yards Tua had? Then we have some other quarterbacks, even Pat Mahomes, who didn't have the same stats as Tua last season. His QBR wasn't even at the same level as Tua. The yards that was thrown by Patrick Mahomes wasn't the same as Tua. Tua threw for over 4,600 yards. Pat Mahomes threw for about 3,000 plus yards. And then we have some other quarterbacks there, like Jared Goff, who I think has already been given a contract. And if you look at his stats does not compare to Tua, even the last 2 seasons. And if you look at the last 2 seasons with the Miami Dolphins, Tua had very good stats, especially with the yards. Even when he was injured during the 2022 season, Tua still threw for over 3,000 yards. And that season he was injured, I think, on about 2 occasions, and he was still able to throw for over 3,000 yards. And imagine that. Now, last season, he threw for over 4,600 yards, and he held up the whole season. He played the full 17 games, plus he went into the playoffs. So I'm trying to figure out what else does a quarterback like Tua need to do? What else does he have to do to encourage or cause the Miami Dolphins to be convinced that he is the man? He is the quarterback that we need. Chris Greer and the owner, Stephen Ross, for the Miami Dolphins, they need to sit down and get this contract sorted rather quickly. All right. And as mentioned last night on my show, the going price for quarterbacks right now in the NFL is about 45 to 50 million dollars. 45 to 50 million dollars. And Tua really deserves that type of money. And I know they might be a little bit apprehensive about Tua breaking down. And the last couple of years, Tua was known for having various injuries, especially in 2022. The year before that, he had a rib injury against the Buffalo Bills that kept him out for quite some time. And the season in 2022, he was out with concussion issues. And the reason why Tua was out because of concussion issues, because Tua held on to the ball too long, much too long. And for some reason, Tua always makes his adjustments. He always makes his adjustments as the time go on. Whatever mistakes that he was making, he works on during the offseason. So what I noticed he did last season, he worked on falling. Some critics have said that he learned how to perform some type of martial arts, some kind of karate or whatever that deals with falling and how you should fall whenever you have a situation, whenever you hit. And he worked on that part of his game, and he was able to take a few hits. But guess what? What he did, he got the ball out on time. And Tua not only got the ball out on time, he got the ball out with precision. Precision. That's what is most important. Getting the ball out with precision and getting the ball out on time. And he did that on a number of occasions. And he didn't take the big hits that he took in 2020 on 22 when he was injured quite a few times. In 2023, he made those corrections. And in 2023, he played much better football. And because he was healthy most of the season, he was able to last the whole season and threw for a number of yards. He led the league in passing. He was right up there in other statistics, QBR rating, attempts, and some other stats that a quarterback normally has. So some things need to be done, and it's not like Chris Greer and Stephen Ross isn't trying. I believe they are trying, but my opinion of the whole thing, they are not trying hard enough. And Tua is truly a true sport, because Tua is right there at OTAs, voluntary workouts, other team workouts, and he's there. And even though some of the persons who want to be negative about the whole thing, they're saying that Tua didn't show up to every single one. No, he didn't show up to everyone. And Tua had justifiable reason, a good reason why he didn't show up to some of the practices. And bear in mind, these practices are voluntary. It isn't mandatory. There's a certain part of the season where these practices are mandatory. Right now, these are just voluntary practices. A player comes out if he wants or chooses to come out. And Tua, even though he has this contract, I'm not saying it's a contract dispute or they're fighting right now to get this contract sorted out, and it's a big issue or a big distraction. But Tua had some justifiable reason why he didn't show up to some of the practices. And we must bear in mind that we do not need to make a whole lot of noise about it. We do not need to be negative about the reason why Tua didn't show up. We do not need to make just hysteria about the whole thing and causing a bunch of issues down there in Miami. What we need to do is look at how Tua operates. He's a professional man. He's a young man. He doesn't say too much, and I love the way he is doing his business. And even though the Dolphins hasn't given him a contract yet, he still showed up to some of the voluntary practices. Under normal circumstances, as mentioned last night, some players would never show up to voluntary workouts, especially if they haven't been given a contract. And even though Tua has not been given a contract, Tua is still there. He's still there working out with the team and doing what he has to do to make this season a success. He's putting the team first time over his contract right now. Normally, a lot of players would still be sitting out, and sometimes players sit out until the compulsory practices that they have to go through. And sometimes players go into the season sitting out because the team and themselves cannot come to some kind of agreement. They're not seeing eye to eye on their contracts. But Tua, he is there and he's doing whatever he could to make this process work. And he's showing the Miami Dolphins, not only the Miami Dolphins, but he's showing professional sports athletes. He's showing the NFL and probably even other teams, other sports, that he is a true professional and he is there despite what is going on with him without him getting that contract. And hopefully Tua does get that contract and the Miami Dolphins could move on to the next level and Tua would be there for all the mandatory workouts and all the other things that they have to do coming up to preseason, which should be happening in a couple of months. We still have some time, but the thing is, this contract situation needs to be worked out, and this contract situation needs to be worked out rather quickly with the Miami Dolphins. Without that being done, then we have our challenges. We need a quarterback who has good chemistry, who will get the ball out on time, get the ball out on precision, and do what he has to do in order to make this team a winning team. And this team has the star power. We have Waddle, we have Jalen Waddle, we have Tyreek Hill, we have those strong. We have a very, very good running back room. We have some studs to run the ball. We have Mustard and Achan and Wilson and a few others who are very, very good for the Miami Dolphins, who played really, really good last season. So imagine if those guys get off to a quick running start and have the Miami Dolphins playing at a high level, because going with play action and the speed of those wide receivers, and and adding Odell Beckham. Remember Odell Beckham? He was the star receiver from the New York Giants. He's been around the league. He played with other teams. He played with Baltimore last season, and then he played with the LA Rams. I think he went to the Super Bowl with the LA Rams. So he has been around, and he would be there to help those younger receivers, show them exactly what they need to do in order to have the Miami Dolphins to be a successful team in 2024, 2025. So we're looking at some big things with Odell Beckham being in the lineup, because we're going to need him, especially on third down conversions. And with that play action, and with Tyreek Hill and Waddle going out there on the fly, we should have other persons like Odell Beckham, who should be able to convert on short third down conversions. And sometimes you might need him to convert on third down and 10. We need 10 yards, and we need to move the chain, so we can need that person to catch the ball. We need that receiver to catch the ball, who could catch the ball. And guess what? He has reliable hands. If you would have seen some of the passes that he caught with the Giants, I could remember a one-hand catch, I think at the one or probably into the end zone. I can't remember the team they were playing against, but it was a spectacular catch by Odell Beckham that helped the Giants to win. Not only that game, probably many other games. So it's quite good that we have Odell Beckham with us playing for the Miami Dolphins. Let's see what he can do, and all the other players, the free agents that who has joined the Miami Dolphins over the off season here in Miami. But with that said, Stephen Ross, Chris Greer, do the right thing. Sign the man. He deserves every penny. Get him up between $45 million to $50 million or $53 million. Pay him, because he deserves it. Get him out of your hair. Get him signed up for 2024, 2025, and give him a long-term contract, so you won't have to worry about him for the next 4 or 5 years. Please do not give him a short contract. He needs a long-term contract. A short-term contract would not work in Miami. We need a quarterback as good and as sharp as Tua to take the Miami Dolphins to another level. We must realize that Tua is a winner. When Tua was in Alabama, he won. When he came to Miami, he has a winning record in Miami. And if you would look at Tua's record compared to all of the others quarterbacks who came out around the same time as Tua, they do not have as good a record as Tua. If you want to prove it, Google it yourself, and the information is right there for everybody to see. So I'm asking Chris Greer, I'm asking the owner of the Miami Dolphins, Stephen Ross, to do the right thing. With that said, let's go on to another sport I love so much, baseball. Take me out to the ballpark. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back. Guess what? Baseball is here, and the baseball season has already started. And my team, as I mentioned last night, is the Miami Marlins. I've been a Miami Marlins fan from the time the Miami Marlins became a team in the National League East. And as young as the Miami Marlins is, the Miami Marlins has already won 2 world championships. 2 world championships in baseball. So I love the Miami Marlins, and they're doing some great things. And what makes me love the Miami Marlins even more? Because the great Jazz Chishlom from Nassau, Bahamas. We have a very good player in Jazz Chishlom. He is a superstar. I don't know if he's considered a superstar in the major leagues, but me personally, he is my superstar, and I'm sure he is a superstar of all Bahamians who loves to follow baseball, who loves Jazz Chishlom for the good things he is doing down there in Miami. However, the Miami Marlins, I love the Dolphins so much, I'm going back to the Dolphins. The Miami Marlins, for some reason, is not playing up to par. They're not playing as good as they ought to play or they should be playing. The Miami Marlins is in dead last in the National League East. We have the Philadelphia Phillies at 37-14. We have the Atlanta Braves at 29-18. The Washington Nationals at 21-27. New York Mets 21-28. We have the Marlins, who is 17-34 for the British record in the National League East. The Miami Marlins have been winning a few games lately, and I must say, the Bahamian Jazz Chishlom is doing an awesome job. He has been carrying the Marlins for the last couple of games, and I must say, congratulations to him, and I hope he continues to play at a very, very high level. And if you would have watched the game last night against the Milwaukee Brewers, Jazz Chishlom had the lone run, a home run against the Milwaukee Brewers. And that was all the Miami Marlins needed, because their pitcher, Jesus Lazaro, he threw a shutout last night. The Brewers could not hit his stuff, and the Miami Marlins end up winning that game 1-0. So I must say, the Miami Marlins, in the last 10 games, they are 7-3. They are 7-3 in the last 10 games, and hopefully the Miami Marlins would continue to play good baseball and see if they could get out of that last place position that they're in right now in the National League, and hopefully they could crawl their way out of it and get up to probably first or second place. The season is still young. So the Miami Marlins has an opportunity to see if they could crawl out of the mess that they are in right now. And everybody knows, good defense, good pitching cause you to win. You need some hitting, you need some offense, but guess what? If you have good defense and you have good pitching, that would cause your team to be very successful in the major leagues. And the problem with the Miami Marlins, 2 of their star pitchers are hurt right now, and they're not playing. And without those 2 pitchers, the Miami Marlins will not do so well this season. Hopefully, they could get things turned around, and hopefully those pitchers could get back in the lineup and help Miami to win a few more games as they go along for the rest of the season. And the season is not at half-point stage yet, so they still have some time. So, and there were times when teams who were in last place end up coming back and getting to the playoffs through the wildcard system that they have now in Major League Baseball. So let's keep our fingers crossed, and I hope Jazz Chishlom could continue to play very, very good baseball. And he's a converted center fielder now. He's a converted center fielder. He was a player who played on the infield. He played second base, and he played shortstop sometimes. And there was some situation that happened down there in Miami, and they asked him to try the outfield. And him being a true sport and the professional that he is, he decided to take on the challenge. Right now, he is playing very, very good baseball in center field. He's tracking those balls down. I'm in left center and right center and in middle center field. and he's making some diving catches. So I must say, Josh Chisholm is doing an awesome job with the Miami Marlins. And let's continue to support Josh Chisholm. And just remember, just a few years ago, Josh Chisholm, he was a part of the All-Star team. He didn't physically play, but he was picked to be an All-Star, and that was the season he was hurt, so he wasn't able to play. But the thing is, he still got recognition as an All-Star during that season, just a few seasons ago. I think it was season before last. So hopefully, this upcoming season, if he continues to play the way he's playing right now, currently he has 7 home runs and he's batting 254. His batting average is 254. So hopefully he could get that batting average up to around 300 and hit a few more home runs and on base percentage and what have you, get some walks and what have you. And Josh Chisholm should be doing very, very good. And hopefully the team could rally around him, and hopefully the team could get a few more wins in the season that is still young. And hopefully he'll be doing much, much better. Or the Marlins on the whole should be doing much, much better. So with that said, let's support our Marlins. And we must remember that we have other baseball players. We have some former baseball players who played all around the United States of America. And I'm going to just mention about 8 of them who played in the major leagues. Some are still current, especially Josh Chisholm is still there. But there was the great Ed Ambrister. Ed Ambrister, who remembers Ed Ambrister? Ed Ambrister was the baseball player from Nassau who played in the World Series. I think he played for the Cincinnati Reds, if I'm correct, the Cincinnati Reds. He was the player who laid down the bunt to win, I think it was Game 5. It was Game 5. He put down the controversial bunt that they end up winning Game 5. So he made a little bit of history for the Bahamas. And he is one of our heroes who played baseball on a professional level in the United States of America. Then we have Bill Culmer, who played in 1983. Ed Ambrister would have played in 1973, but it was the 1975 World Series that he put that famous bunt down to cause them to win Game 5 of the World Series. Then we have Tony Curry, who played in 1960. Venty Ford played in 1973. Lucius Fox, 2022, and he was just released by the Chicago White Sox. As a matter of fact, he played for Tampa Bay in 2016. He played in their farm system in AA. Kansas City Royals in August of 2020. He played for Washington Nationals in November of 2021. And in September of 2023, he was released by the Washington Nationals, and he was picked up by the Chicago White Sox in February this year, 2024. However, in March 2024, he was released by the Chicago White Sox. Right now, I believe he's out there looking for a job or looking to go on somebody else's farm system, and hopefully he could get back to the major leagues. He played for Washington Nationals. I remember him playing for Washington Nationals just a few years ago, probably 2022 or 2021, when he played for the Nationals. And I could remember that in one of those series, the Washington Nationals played the Miami Marlins, and Josh Chisholm was playing against his homeboy, Lucius Fox. And I can clearly remember Lucius Fox making a dive in the hole in one of those games and throwing the runner out at first base against the Miami Marlins. So to me, from what I've seen of him, he appeared to be a very good defensive player. The only problem I noticed, or the challenge I saw that he had, was hitting the ball. Yeah, to stay in the league, you have to be able to hit the ball. Not only play defense, you have to be able to hit the ball. If you can hit the ball, you can go pretty far in baseball. So hopefully he could come around and do some good. Then we have Antoine Richardson. Antoine Richardson, he would have played for the Yankees. Antoine Richardson played for the Yankees 2011. Antoine Richardson. Then Andrew Rogers in 1957. So they are some of our Bahamian baseball players, past and future players, and some, like I say, not future, but who are currently playing right now. They're still playing in the baseball league in the United States of America. But we have to support our Bahamian athletes, or we should support our Bahamian athletes as we go on there. There are a number of them still in the minor league system. I could probably do some research on and get the other names in my next show, but we need to support them. There are a number of them who are from Freeport, because I remember coaching baseball in Freeport about 8 years ago. I coached a number of those players. Some of them now are playing in the minor league system in the United States of America. So we have quite a few players who are very close to joining Jazz Chishlom in the major leagues, and hopefully they get on the professional level or get in with a major league team, and hopefully they could perform as well or even better than Jazz Chishlom. Because what I'm looking at right now, from what I've seen, Jazz Chishlom, in my opinion, I think he was the best Bahamian baseball player that would play in the major leagues. From just looking at his stats, I don't think any major league player from the Bahamas has the stats that Jazz Chishlom have right now. So hopefully some younger ones will come up and be just as good or even better as Jazz Chishlom. And let's continue to support our Bahamian athletes as we go on. Another topic I would like to discuss is the track and field situation in the Bahamas. Track and field situation in the Bahamas. And I believe that we have plenty of potential here on our family islands. And there's not only potential in Nassau and Freeport, but we have potential in Abaco, Exuma, Care Island, Maguana, Aucklands, Crooked Island, Andros, every island. But the challenge we have on a number of our islands are that we don't have the facilities, and we don't have the professional coaching. And I believe if we could have the professional coaching on these islands as it relates to track and field, we could have our own track clubs here in the family islands, and the best players, the best runners, or the best athletes from the family islands, once they would have made the times, especially in the races, and once they could make the throws in the field events, then we could have a much better crew of athletes who could represent the Bahamas in Carifta. Not only Carifta, but also in the Olympics as they continue to work on their careers. So I am asking that we have the facilities on these islands and the coaching, and once we have the coaching and facilities, so we can have a fair chance with persons leaving the islands and going in to Nassau to compete, to be in Carifta. And who knows, because of their potential and their athleticism and what have you, and their grades are very important too. They could end up going off to college in the United States or some other country and represent the Bahamas in track and field. Right now, we have quite a few athletes who are in college right now who are doing a very, very good job in representing the Bahamas as it relates to track and field. So those are some of the concerns that I have, and hopefully those concerns could be addressed as it relates to track and field in the Bahamas. And we just need the persons on these islands to push and agitate for these things every single time they have the opportunity, agitate for these things through their member of parliament, local government representative, and what have you. So there are some of the things that we could do, and we could become much better in some of our family islands when it comes to the potential that we have that goes unexplored on all of our islands. And as we all are aware, our national sport right now is the boating, or the boat racing, or the regattas, or sailing. Let me get the thing right. Sailing. Our national sport is sailing. So sailing has been doing a very excellent job here on the island of Exuma, and we have a number of young individuals who sail almost just about every weekend here on the island of Exuma. And I must say a big thank you to Mr. Dallas Knowles, who is doing an excellent job with sailing here on the island of Exuma. And the same thing happens in Long Island and some other islands in the Bahamas. So I must give those persons who continue to push our national sport to another level a great congratulations, and just to continue to encourage them to be the best that they could be, especially in our national sport we call sailing. Hopefully we could have some other persons go to the Olympics to represent the Bahamas in sailing also, not only in track and field, because there's also sailing as a part of the Olympics. So let's continue and hopefully we can have these other persons involved in the sport of sailing. Just before I decide to close down tonight, I just want to let my fans know, subscribe, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and we will talk from time to time. The chat is open right now. Whatever's on your mind, just say what's on your mind. I could respond to you as we go along in the chat, and we could have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk sports. Let's talk Miami Marlins. Let's talk the Miami Dolphins. Just talk Miami Heat. Let's talk track and field in the Bahamas. Let's talk whatever we want to talk about as it relates to sports in the Bahamas. With that said, I just hope that tomorrow night we'll continue discussing what's happening, and hopefully tour is signed by tomorrow. With that said, I am out, and let's have a very nice show tomorrow night, and let's take it from here. Let's take this show to the next level. Miami Dolphins #1. Thank you very much. I'm out.